Alright everybody, we're going to be taking a look at Webpack with a considerable degree of automation. The last example was very simple, and that was just to give you a basics of how Webpack works. What I'm going to do for this video is I'm going to provide you with a repository on GitHub, a boilerplate that you can use for your projects, for even full stack projects. It's very helpful for front-end projects, but if you're building a server into this backend with an API or a database, anything like that, it'll work for all those different situations. It's very light, what I have here, and it's rather simple. So what we're going to do is, first let's just demonstrate how this works on, this works on the front end. So um, yeah, it's hot reloading. So we've got our Webpack running here. You can see it kind of started a server and it's running Webpack. And then we've got our localhost, and let's just make sure we give things a reload so we're all cleared out of our console here. Now, hot reloading means that we don't have to click this reload button ever. We can change CSS, we can add files, we can add components, we can use React, we can use SCSS. It'll all instantly update in your browser. So it makes front-end development super easy. Basically, you can just code in your terminal, in your editor here, and see everything change over here. So the demonstration is very simple. We're just going to change things to blue. See, it instantly goes to blue. We're just going to change some text here. We're gonna really change some text. We're gonna add a div. Let's just move this. Oh, creating some crazy errors. I'm gonna move that up. And let's see, what else do we want? We want a paragraph. We want to say hello Chingus. Yes, lots of eyes. All right, and so it just reloads. It reloads instantaneously no matter what you're doing. So this is very good. It's just, yeah, it's hugely helpful for anything on the front end. So that's what you're going to get with this. Now let me just walk through each little bit. I don't claim to know what everything in this example does, but I have kind of tried to take this from various sources and boil it down to something that makes a bit of sense to me, and that's very light, because there's a lot of stuff out there that has a ton of boilerplate slapped onto it, and I don't think anything that works quite as well as this. All right, so what we're going to do is, the way that I've set this up is, instead of using Webpack Dev Server, which is an express server that runs Webpack, we're going to build Webpack Dev Server from scratch, so that way we can basically only put into it exactly what we want. Okay, so instead of running Webpack from the command line like we did previously, we'd type in Webpack, or we'd run Webpack from a Node script. What we're going to do is we're going to run a server, and the server, the way that, we're going to run a server, and the server is going to run Webpack hot module reloading for us. So basically, we just have to type in npm start. Let me get you to look at this command here. npm start, all it does is run nodemon. This could just as easily be node. What nodemon does is watches for changes in your server and will update it when there's a change. However, you'll really never be changing the server if you're working on a front-end project, but if you're on a back-end project, there you go, it's already built in for you. Watch, it's telling it just to look in the server file. It's telling it, this is telling it to execute Babel node, so you'll be able to write ECMAScript 2015 in your server directory, and then here's just the start file, index.js. We probably don't even need to say index, but whatever, it's no big deal. Okay, so here's our server, right? We're setting up the Express server. We do that by importing Express. We import path, which helps resolve what do they call it? Relative directory names. And then we're just instantiating, we're starting up our server here with let app equal express. Okay, so now basically we've got to tell Webpack to run on the server, and we have to give Webpack a Webpack config, as we always have in the past. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tell our server to use two middlewares. Now, the first middleware is literally just our Webpack. This is the basics of Webpack Dev Server, telling it to watch the files, as well as telling it to not output a bunch of garbage. You can see that our Webpack is like very simple here, which is good because it'll be restarting a lot and we don't want to like clog up the terminal. And then basically what we have here is our hot module reloader, and we have our routing, which is to say, as long as you get any route, right, this is the home route, this is like the slash route, localhost 3000, I want you to send them the index file, which is inside our public folder, right? And then here we're just telling the server it is running, but we want you to listen to port 3000. Port 3000 is where it's going to get its requests from. So you can see it gets a request here, and then we send it back, response.send file. We send it back the file. All right. So that's our server. So that's pretty much it, really. It's rather simple. Basically, we run Webpack through the server. We've got some dependencies here. Excuse me. We've got some things. You're really going to need all these things. React hot loader. This is going to make it so that you can run React as you would imagine. Oh yeah, we can take a look at our Webpack config. It's pretty simple. It's comparable to what we have last time. We've got an entry, we've got an output. DevTools is a really nice thing to have. Basically what this does is when it throws an error in the Chrome console here, it's not just going to give you a bundle, but it's going to tell you in your source files, it's going to tell you there was an error in your app.js instead of just telling you there's an error somewhere in bundle, and we don't really know. Even if you look at that error in bundle, you're not really going to know what it goes to. So you need to have this DevTools when things get a bit more complicated. Then we have our modules and our loaders, as you've seen before. These plugins are things that React will. So you know how Express can have middleware, things that it will run all of its files through. Well, we run Webpack as a middleware, and then Webpack has some middleware as its own. And basically, it's pretty simple. No errors plugin. This is really just a thing not to clog up our terminal. Occurrence order. I'm not 100% sure what this does. It might have something to do with the DOM rendering. It might have something to do with the hot module. And then we have hot module replacement plugin, which is what's going to make our modules replace. Okay, so basically what hot module loader is going to do, now the DOM works in basically two parts, and I'll try and break this down very quickly, is a lot of people will say, the DOM is slow and that's why we need React. Well, that's not entirely the case. The DOM, really, as I understand it, has two parts. The DOM itself is just a tree of objects, okay? And so there's part of the DOM that's very fast, and that part is just taking one of those objects and getting rid of it and putting a new object in it, right? Rebuilding that tree, rebuilding that one element of that tree is very easy. But then there's this algorithm which has to remap the location of all the objects on the page. I'm pretty sure that's the slow aspect of the DOM, and this hot module replacement bypasses that DOM loading algorithm, just allows us to put in something new and not have to rebuild the entire DOM all at once. Okay, so let me show you the one thing that you shouldn't mess with. That's this if hot module hot and module hot, except basically every single piece that's coming through here that's going to get rendered onto your document with React, this module hot thing is something particular to React, and it works pretty well if you don't use this, but basically this is just telling the module loader that if a hot module comes through here, treat it as if it were a hot module. It seems redundant, but I haven't found a way around it, but knowing Jad, he'll probably get a way around it. Alright, I think that's about all I'm going to show. Basically, you can build your app just as you would normally you can use style sheets, you can use components, you can do whatever the hell you want. It's very simple and it's very good, and yeah, everybody should use it because then I'll be happy. Alright, bye.